Well, I'm delighted to be speaking with Mr. Bill McCarthy of Gallup, New Mexico. And he is a devout Catholic and a graduate of the Integrated Humanities Program. And he's also a business leader and someone who has taken his skill to put together a business and to rally people together around a work project to put together something that I think is quite remarkable there out in the middle of our country. I guess what you call a sacred place that is devoted to our Blessed Mother first and foremost, but also to the memory of Saint Kateri, who I understand was the first Native American to be pronounced by the Church as a saint. And so I wonder, Mr. McCarthy, if you could tell us about the Rosary Walk and just the whole project that you have going on out there in New Mexico.
Yes. My primary position, which I've held for 35 years, is at the Southwest Indian Foundation, and we're a Catholic nonprofit organization that is set up to help lessen and alleviate the poor of the Native communities in the Southwest. Many of our people, our families live in a third world environment, no running water, no electricity, horrible roads with huge distances for families to basically be able to make it to town, to procure food and drink, and their livelihoods are mostly with cottage industries where they do crafts, etc. And through my association and my work here, we've developed a catalog and a website, southwestindian.com, where we've helped with unemployment by providing a showcase of the crafts, the native crafts and artwork of the artisans that we offer, and then those items are sold through our catalog, and then the proceeds from that of the sales not only preserve the culture of those crafts, those skill sets, but then we put the proceeds back into our charitable programs. We build houses for homeless. We install stoves where there's not adequate heat. We support a lot of the parochial schools on the reservation. We have orphanages. We have the emergency assistant like the Red Cross, and so we have our fingers in a lot of pies. And so that's my primary job, and I've been doing it for 35 years now. And my secondarily, a couple years back, our Bishop James Wall, who's a really good man, he called me, which he usually doesn't call me, just out of the blue. He called me a number of times, and I was actually in the Midwest, was in the Ozarks with my family for a reunion, and he said, we want to have this honor of Saint Kateri by having this national shrine rosary walk on diocesan property, and we had received a seed grant through the International Knights of Columbus, Mr. Carl Anderson, and oh, by the way, we need a matching grant, and we're going to have a groundbreaking here in the next 3 weeks, and you're going to organize that groundbreaking. So it's kind of, when you get the call, you what are you going to do? Say no? You're going to say, well, I can't do that. I'm not going to do. So it was kind of thrust upon us, and the particular Rosary Walk, it's beautiful. You can look at Saint Kateri Rosary Walk.org. I would encourage everyone to go there. Saint Kateri Rosary Walk.org is one word. And we've built 23 separate chapels, and the chapels are spread out in a beautiful trail walk that's in a reservation area. It's on the outskirts of Gallup, New Mexico, but it's part of the more rural part of the reservation. And the walk itself incorporates all the mysteries of the Rosary, which would be the 20 mysteries, the luminous mysteries, as well as the traditional mysteries, and then Faith, Hope, and Charity, which are an added 3, so that's 20 mysteries, and then Faith, Hope, and Charity makes 23, which are all the individual chapels that we've almost completed, by the way. But the nature of the program is that we're bringing young college students from all over the country, and it's kind of a special forces summer program that is semi-monastic. It's very intense. It's incorporates the mind, body, spirit, the good, the true, and the beautiful. So the student is being immersed in a very intense life of the mind, the body, and the spirit. So
Well, I do want to get more into the specifics of the program because it's certainly captured my imagination, and I think that's because of the story, but also the place where you're working. There's a lot that can sometimes be missed, or just people who have never traveled through that part of the country or spent any time there, they're just not aware of what's going on in the middle of our country there. But until we lived there, my wife and I was telling you before we hit record, we lived in Farmington for 3 years, and my wife worked on the reservation there in Shiprock, and we just really fell in love with that area. We fell in love with the landscape, but also my wife, especially as she got to know the children and the families and our fellow teachers, we just really fell in love with the Navajo people as well. And one of the things that really struck us was that, you know, to some degree, this is kind of a case study of sorts of what happens to a people when they start to lose their culture, they start to lose their story, they start to lose their practices. We later went to live for another 3-year contract up in Alaska, where my wife has worked with the native population there, and they're even sort of further down the path of this loss of story and loss of culture. And a lot of this has to do with just the ills of the modern age. And so, to some degree, those of us who are not immediate descendants of native peoples, it's hard for us to understand. But if you go and you live there and you witness some of the things you mentioned in terms of the poverty, but just the infrastructure and some of the ways in which, you and I as Catholics can confirm that quite frankly, demons can sneak in and really just wreak havoc on people's lives. Because of a variety of different challenges. And so for you to set up shop there, so to speak, and figure out a way to provide aid, but also to point to a saint, right? Someone who we can draw strength from, both encouragement in the story, but also through the intercession of her prayers. I just think that's really powerful. And so I wonder if you could go back to Saint Kateri and just tell us her story and why it is that she can be such a powerful aid to the people there.
Sure. And thank you for that, Trae. But I never had a particular devotion myself, but I knew that there was a great devotion to Saint Kateri through the Franciscan legacy and the Franciscans that had been out here for many generations, as well as Saint Mother Catherine Drexel, who, she was a huge heiress from the Philadelphia area, one of the richest women in the world, and then, basically, turned her back on that and founded an order, the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament. And she built a number of schools in our area, and she had a particular, she felt her missions were to the inner cities and to the Black community, but very particularly to the Native American communities. So she poured her entire fortune into evangelization and to helping those communities. So her legacy is still strong here. Well, she had a particular devotion to Saint Kateri. And although Saint Kateri is the lily of the Mohawks, and from the northeast portion of the United States, there's a tremendous devotion to her among the native people, both the Pueblo people as well as the Navajo people in our area. And she was canonized, I think it was 2012, or maybe it was 13, but she was canonized. And so we helped with sending a delegation of Native Americans from our community over to Rome for the canonization. And we were going to provide scholarships for 15 people. And I was surprised that we put the word out that we were going to provide like 95% of the expenses to go to the canonization. Well, we had over 200 applicants within a week of people that wanted to go to the canonization. And there was an essay portion of the application to be able to go to the canonization. And I was amazed, out of the 200 applications, the depth and the insight and the level of devotion of the native people here to Saint Kateri. So that still lives on. And I was, that blew me away, because I did not realize that her legacy had taken such root, and the tremendous amount of joy that they had that she was being recognized by the church as her sainthood. So that carried on. So just to look back a little bit, Saint Kateri, when she was a young woman, she had smallpox, and her face was disfigured, and she apparently was strikingly beautiful as a young native maiden. But she was she at a very young age had decided to dedicate her life to virginity and to God. And so she was kind of shunned, because within their culture, a young maiden was just to be open to marriage, and was to marry and have children. And it was kind of foreign for at least for that tribe to not, to basically give your life completely to God through chastity. Well, she decided that she was going to incorporate the life of a consecrated virgin. And it wasn't formalized. She wasn't in an order or anything, but she used to walk to say her prayers, because she couldn't carry her rosary. She would walk into the woods, and she would set up trails and mark her prayers with little stones and twigs on trees, so that she could measure her prayers. And that was the basic idea of doing the Rosary Walk here in the Southwest, of Carl Anderson and Bishop Wall, is to pray as Saint Kateri prayed, and to model that prayer method around the legacy and life of Saint Kateri as the first canonized Native American in the history of the church. So I hope that provides a summation of this project. So we've been blessed. We're in our I think our fourth year of building this particular shrine. It is hoped to be an international shrine. We're catching a lot of interest and momentum. And this summer we're building a tower, which is the centerpiece of the rosary. It's like a 40-foot adobe structure to Our Lady of Guadalupe. Now, what is the significance there? The significance is that Our Lady of Guadalupe basically was responsible for 9 million conversions in the New World. When the Franciscans, by their own, but this from their perspective, they were failing miserably in converting the Aztecs and the other smaller tribes in Mexico to Christianity. So Our Lady had to come 1531. She left the tilma, which is the most brilliant image left on the earth, except for maybe the Shroud of Turin, but the tilma, which still inspires and heals and so many other things. And over 20 million pilgrims attend the festivities around Our Lady of Guadalupe every year. But so Our Lady came as a Native American princess. She came to a Native American convert, and she's considered to be the Empress of the Americas. I think Pius the 11th designated her as the Empress of all the Americas. So her influence all over the Southwest and with the Native people, you couple that with Saint Kateri and her new legacy within the church. And it's the first time that these two intense devotions, both to the Native American community in the New World, are put together in the shrine that we're building. And so it's a unique manifestation, and we think It's definitely of God, and so we're really excited to be a small part of this project.
That's beautiful. We know that the gospel is for all, and the church, in so much as she is universal, is out to reclaim all things that are true, all things that are good, all things that are beautiful. And there's so much on offer there. Like I said, in the middle of the United States, we were talking about the Integrated Humanities Program earlier, and Dr. Senior would oftentimes reflect on his love for the West and the Southwest. And he said that New Mexico is the holy land of the United States, and I think there is certainly something there that we all need to be in need to be made aware of, and for you to create an opportunity for young people, young men in particular, to go out there and to work and to learn the value of hard work, but also contribute to something so remarkable, not unlike what many people throughout history were called to do in terms of building the great cathedrals or other places that were set up to commemorate Our Lady or the saints. And so I wonder if you could speak to the day-to-day life in terms of this unique offering for young men to come out and to work, as you said, in sort of like a special forces type experience where it's intense and rigorous, but also working to build something really beautiful.
No, I think for the young people and the ones that we've, been blessed to have out here, in their own words, they would say that, this is a life-changing experience. It's like nothing they've ever remotely experienced in their lives. And it's extremely rewarding. It's difficult, like you say, but at the same time, you need to, especially young men need strong stuff to be able to stretch themselves and to become a better young man. And so just within the day, you alluded to, Trae, that this is the holy land of the United States, and I think that's true. There are more martyrs in the Southwest, in Arizona and New Mexico, than all the other 48 states combined within the United States. So the young men, they lead a kind of a structured monastic life. They start with prayer in the morning mass. Then the breakfast. They work hauling adobe and mixing adobe, mud and bricks, and learning construction and scaffolds, and basically keeping to the prototype of whatever we're building. And these structures are built to last hundreds and hundreds of years. So you had mentioned the medieval cathedrals. I mean, that is, we do not spare trying to throw up some cheap type of structure that won't be here. Some of the adobe structures and churches in northern New Mexico were built over 350, 400 years ago, and they're still standing. And we're going old school that way with using adobe construction, traditional lime stucco, and also we're doing this in a way that the architecture is very much in keeping with the Native American a sense of architecture and the Spanish colonial sense. So we're trying to incorporate this whole idea between Saint Kateri, Our Lady of Guadalupe. But the young men were, out in the sun all day, it's pretty fairly, and then at the end of the day, we'll knock off in the heat of the day, later in the afternoon. Then they have a little bit of downtime. Then they go and receive individual instruction from a personal trainer, not so that they want to, we're trying to kill them or anything, but for their physical manifestation of how do I bring out the best qualities within my physique and where I am at this time in my life, just basically wellness training. And then they go back, eat dinner, have a group of women locally that do a lot of the cooking, through the week. And then the evenings will be cultural in the sense of it's academic, but it's light academics, because these young men are studying all summer or all year. The last thing they want to do is come out and do rigorous academic work at the end of the day where they're slaving out in the hot sun. So we have light through music, end story. And we do have an academic program, but it's more like play than it is, rigorous academics. And then the weekends, we have trips to the Grand Canyon, to El Morro, to the Painted Desert, to Chaco Canyon, to the many of the ancient sites that you were alluding to earlier of this being the land of enchantment and very majestic and beauty that you just don't find any other place in North America. And so we're trying to provide them a holistic education and not just book education, although we do read things, but it's more by way of experience.
Well, that certainly is remarkable and a great opportunity. And I'm going to make sure that people have all the links that they need so that they can go online and look at the pictures. And there's a beautiful video that will tell you more about the story of Saint Kateri. And my encouragement would be is don't just peruse the internet. Figure out a way to get out there, and whether that's going out there intentionally to enroll in this program, or for those listening who for whatever reason can't participate in that kind of way, just plan to take a trip and do yourself a favor by exposing yourself to what is on offer. As I said, right there in the middle of our country. It's the landscape, it's the people, but there's also stories there that you need to know. And kind of like you were telling me about your trip to Ireland with the IHP, and some older students pulled you aside and said, "Hey, this is yours. This is something that you're a part of, a story you're a part of." I think in the same way, something like that is on offer through your program. So this has been a delight. I just wonder, for those who are maybe not strapping young men who are ready to jump out and go on a trip out west, what are some other ways people can help you in terms of supporting this project?
Well, we'll leave that one to individual hearts and minds, but obviously Saint Kateri Rosary Walk.org. The more and more the shrine will become a destination area. We're right on I-40. It's not, there's a lot of traffic between the Midwest and Los Angeles, and it's the old Route 66 highway, which is the first transcontinental highway. So it's easy access. You can come. We're starting to put images of the Rosary mysteries up in the nichos. We hope to do that this summer. We have a number of selections. We're dealing with native artists and Spanish colonial artists that have native blood, and they're coming up with some beautiful works of art in the Santero tradition, and those will be the images of the Rosary. And then we'll have walk along the trail. We're gonna beautify the walk eventually. So more and more, this will become a destination site. So we'd love, by all means, especially if you're heading this way, please do stop. We, of course, always encourage, please, pray for the project. Pray for all the young men this summer, that nobody gets injured. Please, if it's in your heart for a monetary donation, that's awesome. But we consider this to be perhaps a great destination pilgrimage spot for all of America into the future.
Well, Bill McCarthy, thank you very much.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Trae.